Healthcare with Huncho. It's the only show with all facts and no cap. Hello, everybody, and welcome to Healthcare with Huncho, episode 3. We love all the support that y'all have been giving us. The last video got over 3,000 views. Thank you for all the love out there and all the support. Remember, like the podcast, subscribe. Wow, we have a treat for you now on episode 3. Tonight's episode, we have the Dr. Lane Rolling, infectious disease expert. When you talk about a guy with many accolades, he is one of the top in his field, represents 1%. Actually, Dr. Rolling, introduce yourself. Let's just get right into it and let you introduce yourself because you have a long resume and I can't even remember all of it.
I think probably the most critical thing about it is that, I'm Dr. Lane Rolling. I'm an infectious disease specialist and a trauma surgeon. I'm certified, and I'm only 1% of the people on the planet that's certified in chemical and biological warfare management of patient by the U.S. Army. Professor of pathogen virology in Germany, dealing with pathogenic viruses from Ebola to dengue to influenza, you name it. I've worked on it in the BSL 4-level security. And I'm also the director of clinical and tropical medicine in Peru for the last 20 years. I train people in infectious diseases in the jungles, and I do real clinics treating epidemic outbreaks from malaria to dengue, yellow fever, chikungunya, Zika, malaria. So I'm in the fields, and I'm the guy on the boat going down the jungles.
Exactly. And those are facts. Those are some serious credentials there. Again, that resume may be 1 page, but the print is tiny on it.
Well, I've done the push-ups in my life, and that's the most important thing. And that's when you ask that question about CNN and Fox, that's the difference. A lot of people, they sound good on paper. They might be from the Bronx, New York, but I can promise you, I haven't seen them in biological warfare. And I haven't seen them in Germany. I haven't seen them in the jungle. So I don't know where they're getting their training from, but they're not where I am. That's a fact.
Wow, and those are facts. We're excited to start the show.
I hope you find this for winding down, so that you may better calm yourself down.
Relaxing, ain't it?
So, Dr. Rolling, why is there so much confusion? And because you turn on media and you watch TV and different outlets, and no one seems to know anything about COVID-19, or there's a lot of misconception about it.
Well, the reality is that when we look at my background is that I'm one of 1% of the people on the planet certified in chemical and biological warfare management of patients. Period.
Wow, the 1%, the 1% on the planet.
In the U.S. Army. Number 2, I'm a professor of pathogen virology at the Heinrich Petit Institute in Hamburg, Germany. Fact. That's where they discovered in 1948, and I am the only African-American professor there. We've done research in Zika, influenza, Ebola. We're publishing in Nature of Microbiology. Fact. Number 3, I'm the guy who was a clinic in clinic in Peru for the last since 2004. I do real missions. I live in Peru. I'm in the jungles. I ride, I get on a boat and go down the Amazon River for 9 hours, jump off the boat and carry 80 pounds of medical supplies, humping through 12 hours of jungle with snakes and mosquitoes, go to a village that's been infected with dengue, malaria, chikungunya, Zika, rabies, and yellow fever. And I treat these individuals in the field, real patients, based off of reality and not a book. So what's happened to you folks here in the United States from Fox and CNN, you have all these pundits. Now all of a sudden everybody's a virus experts. They're not. My sister's the chief of OB at Baylor. She does OB. She's OB, and she's an expert in infectious diseases. And so the problem with that is what's happened is that they've taken my beautiful world of viruses and diseases and they added a political element to it. And that's what's killed.
Right. And you kind of see that today, kind of the political agenda taking over. I always said healthcare is not a political arena. It's about taking care of people, and it's about taking that stance and doing what's right. So I'm glad you brought that up. So tell us, going into it, so what's the best strategy besides what you hear on, like you said, CNN, Fox? What is the best strategy we should have in our approach to taking care of our communities when it comes to COVID-19?
Well, the basic strategy that you have is you got to have situational awareness. You have to have accurate information. The information I give you, and I'm on the healthcare COVID-19 healthcare task force. I teach this stuff. I certify people in infectious and molecular medicine. You have to have information based off of facts. You have to have, if you understand the science, you understand the medicine. For you to understand the medicine, you have to know the science. And so if you have these two ingredients based off of science, you can't go wrong. And so for people to protect themselves, they need to understand the evolution of this virus. They need to understand it's an RNA virus, that this virus has the ability to affect you not through just respiration, breathing. It also can affect you through feces. And probably feces is the biggest transmitter of diseases in all the rest of the world because people don't practice good bathroom habits. So if you understand the respiratory, if you understand fecal transmission, you can design biosecurity protocols to protect yourself, i.e. wearing a mask. We know you wear a mask and somebody's infected, it takes you down to a 3.1% chance of getting infected. 2, you wash your hands with the best antiseptic hand wash in the world that lasts 24 hours and kill viruses and bacteria and fungus. You got that. You don't wear
what
your
is
shoes.
that?
Hold this one. And if you don't wear your shoes in your house, because COVID-19 is transmitted on the bottom of your shoes. So what was your question?
Oh, my question was, what was the antifungal, antimicrobial that you're referring to?
We designed an antiseptic hand wash that we use in our OR, we use in our bio labs, and you can get this at saferhands.us. This is an antiseptic wash that we use to sterilize our hands before we do surgery. This is what we use in our bioweapon lab. This is what we use in our virology lab. This is what we use, and it lasts 24 hours. That's the best.
And it's available to the public?
Yeah, you can order it right now, and I tell people you better jump on this now, because when the second wave comes, like people are running trying to get toilet paper and they were trying to get food, you're not going to be able to get. So I think people need to position themselves and get stuff and get stuff prepared. Get your water, get your antiseptic hand wash, because when the second wave comes, you know what happened in the first wave. We haven't even finished the first wave. You know what's going to happen.
Wow. So I know we get a lot of media outlets. The country has been opened back up to us. So we're still in the first wave, is what you're telling us right now. We haven't even got out of the first wave yet.
We're not even finished the first wave. Even my colleague Fauci said that this is a nightmare. This is going to be worse than AIDS, HIV. What I'm saying is, when you look at this, and you look at the science, how do we know we're out of the first wave? We get to the second wave, we get to the third wave, and the end of the pandemic. You look at the numbers, and what we call is called herd immunity. Right now, we're at about 10% of the population of the United States is affected. 10% of the world's population is affected. For us to get immunity, to get to the other side, we have to get up to 70%. So if you take 70% of the people in the United States, 360 million, that's like 250 million Americans have to be infected. We're not even close to that. You look at the world, that's 4.9 billion people have to be infected. We're not even close to that. So that's how you tell you're going on the right path.
Right. So is it better for us to be open up right now, for us to be running, pretty much our day-to-day and day-to-day businesses kind of how we have currently? Because I know we have the different phases. So what's the best way? Because it sounds like a lot of people have to get infected, and we're a long way to go.
Well, you want me to give you the Dr. Rowling version, or you give me the Mickey Mouse version? Which one you want?
Oh, I definitely want the Dr. Rowling version. That's why you're here on Healthcare with Huncho.
Well, let me tell you right now, we can look at Sweden as an example. They had this free-for-all attitude. We're going to let everybody continue to go to bars and schools and nursing homes. And they fired the top epidemiologist. It failed. They have the highest death rate in Europe, period. So when you start talking about opening up things, I understand that. People have to get back to work. Kids got to get back in school. There are places like Lexington, Mississippi, where 3,000 kids depend on food from the school. That's where they go to school, they get their breakfast, they get their lunch. No school, these kids are starving in America.
Right.
And this gradual approach of opening has to be organized. And the reason why they do self-quarantine or social distancing on the front end is to control the explosion to the population. You decrease the amount of death rates. You try to slow down what we call mitigation and containment in the amount of the infection. So now what's happened is that people can't take it. People have what I call, COVID pandemic psychosis. People are anxious. People want to get back to going to Denny's and the movies, and they don't really. You can't see the virus, so it's no big deal.
Right.
Well, I promise you, we're putting a lot of them people in body bags. The people that were in Missouri and Ozark talking about their constitutional right.
Right. It was a lot of people out.
Yeah, well, they ain't laughing today. That was Memorial. And the folks that have done the protesting that really broke some of the social norms for not wearing masks, not washing hands, a complete density of people, give 2 weeks, they won't be laughing. That's a fact.
Wow. Well, Dr. Rowling, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're going to talk about that second wave that you're referring to.
No problem. I'm here for you, folks. I thank you for the opportunity.
This is Charles McClain from the You Can't Be Serious podcast, and you're watching Kuts and Koffee TV.
Back to the show.
This is Chad Slay with the New York Giants, and you're watching Kuts and Koffee TV.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Kuts and Koffee.
All right, welcome back to Healthcare with Huncho. We're here talking to infectious disease expert, Dr. L. Rowling. Dr. Rowling, before the break, you were telling us about the second wave and the second coming of COVID-19. Can you just elaborate on what does that really mean for a second wave?
Well, when the second wave, by definition, when the second wave comes, and it's coming, probably a lot sooner than we wanted to come, it means that we'll be affecting about 50% of the population. And we'll know that because the numbers are going to just dramatically just grow on what we call hospitalization. We're going to, the amount of people infected. You're going to see a lot of shutdowns of restaurants and places that open. They're going to be shutting down again, and there will be a second shutdown. That's a fact because people did not understanding the significance of having control. The most important thing I can tell your audience is you got to have containment and mitigation. Containment and mitigation. You can't let the virus.
And what does that refer to when you say containment and mitigation?
Containment means you try to keep the virus in control. For example, you got it in the city of Nashville, Tennessee. It's the hot spot. You want to keep that virus contained in that area and don't let it get beyond that Nashville to Memphis to Chicago. That's what we name it. Mitigations that we try to decrease the amount of people that are infected at one time. We mitigate things. How do you mitigate things? Biosecurity protocols, hand washing, mask, the utilization of technology, utilization, simple, making sure you have great air filtration units, making sure you don't wear your the common sense type of stuff is what we use to mitigate diseases. Testing, people getting tested, that's part of the mitigation and containment.
Right. And how often would you recommend testing?
Well, in this situation right now, if you can get a test, you can get it. But the problem is that the test is unreliable, especially the antibody test. The serological, what we do, like when we go in there and we take the blood and we run it through what we call PCR, the most sensitive test in the world, that's very expensive. It's time consuming.
Right.
Antibody tests, CDC just said 3 weeks ago, 50% of the tests are false, unreliable. And so it is with the testing, folks, is that the reason why is that there are 40 different mutations of COVID-19. And so you have
40.
So you have to have every different mutated strain in that test kit. You got to have every 4 strains in your vaccination. If you're missing things, the vaccine doesn't work, the antibody test is unreliable, and this is a positive sense. RNA virus is mutating, and we don't know what it's going to be by October. Might be 100 different strains.
So, Dr. Rowling, when you talk about mutation of strains, because at one point, from the media there was 9. So, how did we get to 40? How did we get to 40 strands? And I think another count was out there was 32. So how is this thing moving so fast and mutating so fast?
Well, we're initially it was 2 strains. It went to 9. It went to 33. Now we're at 40. Now we're at 40 plus. It goes with if you understand the genetics, and this is the RNA virus. Every time an RNA virus replicates, you get a mutation. It's a mutant because it doesn't have the capacity to correct the mutation that it creates. In your body right now, your skin is replicating new cells, skin cells. There's a mutation there, always. But we have an enzyme called a DNA polymerase that corrects that mutation. Well, RNA viruses don't have that ability to correct mutation. It's a selective advantage for it. It gives it an evolutionary ability to affect people. That is part of why we don't have a vaccine for HIV. We don't have a vaccine for Ebola. We really don't have a vaccine for the influenza or dengue because these are RNA viruses and they replicate and they mutate.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kuts and Koffee.
This is Josh Vietti, hip-hop violinist. I want to give a big shout out to my guys at Kuts and Koffee. What's up?
Ladies and gentlemen, the Kuts and Koffee.
One thing I want to talk about is SRS because it's the only company in the world, and what we're trying to do is get people back to work. We have the technology. I could come to your place right now, or your people's, and I could test your building. Right. We can tell you within 90 minutes if your building's COVID-19 positive or free.
Wow!
Incredible.
So we're just gonna keep it rolling. Dr. Rowland, just kind of tell us about that program and how we can upstart our country safely and get back to business safe.
Well, last night I was with Ralph Sampson, the NBA Basketball Hall of Fame. I was on the NBA Live last night doing a worldwide talk about the NBA and COVID-19. And one of the things that I'm the chief medical officer for SRS, which is System Ready Solution. It's a minority-owned company, $1 billion in projects from Hurricane Katrina all the major disasters, FEMA, the whole 9 yards. So we're responsible for disasters and pandemics. For SRS, the company that I'm chief medical officer of, is the only company on the planet that has technology that we trying to bring people back to work. What do I mean? We have technology. We can test your building, your school. We can test an airplane. We can test a restaurant. And we will know within 90 minutes if the building is safe or COVID-19 free using what we call PCR, which is the most advanced sensitive technology in the world. We have a chemical solution that we have called Proguardium. It's the only solution on the planet that's been tested against actual COVID-19.
Hey, pronounce that one more time for us.
It's called Proguardium. It's the only solution that is better than bleach. It's 120 times better than bleach. It is natural. Doesn't bog your eyes. It kills COVID-19. It kills influenza, RSV, gram-positive, gram-negative bacteria. And the thing about this was developed by Special Forces. This is what we use for biological control. It's unbelievable.
That's amazing.
And then we also have what we call temperature facial tablets recognition, where we put a tablet on front of your building, your school, your church, and you come up there 4 feet away, and it will tell you if you're positive, you have a mask on, you don't have a mask on. And if you don't have a mask on and you're positive for a temperature, the door won't open. If you're negative, the door will automatically open and let you in. And then we also have
amazing technology.
We also have the best, we have the best antiseptic hand wash in the world. And that's just a fact. And it kills bacteria, fungus, and viruses. And we also develop a children brand. So we have children antiseptic soap so they can wash their hands. And we have a comic book character to teach kids how to wash their hands too.
Go ahead and drop the name. Go ahead and drop the name for everyone. Go ahead and put your plug in for everyone so they know.
The antiseptic hand wash, you can get it and order it at saferhands.us. Safer, SAFERHANDS.us. Saferhands.us. You can order the antiseptic hand wash for yourself, for your children, to protect themselves, and they'll get a copy of the comic book. And we have a character called Uncle Kuski. And Uncle Kuski is more famous than Mickey Mouse because Mickey Mouse is still in quarantine. Uncle Kuski out there, he's out there saving kids' life. And so that's what. And then we have the company SRS, System Ready Solution. And you want to contact these folks if you really want to get back to school, get back to where you want to get to the best normalcy that you have. Then you need to call SRS, System Ready Solution, and talk to Mr. Charles Pickett. He's the CEO of this billion-dollar company, and you can reach him. His number is, Charles' number is, what is that?
All right.
It's 796-257-3401. Let me repeat that again. 769-257-3401, and I will send you a link to their website and stuff. But this is we're talking to the NBA and all these other organizations. This is where it's going. I mean, there's no company on the planet that has this technology, China or Europe. This is state-of-the-art biological security protocols to save people's lives.
Well, Dr. Rowling, thank you for sharing that with us. We're going to go to a quick commercial break. And we're going to have more with the infectious disease expert, Dr. L. Rowling, when we come back.
My name is Dalton Martin. I'm a student at Auburn University, and I'm white.
My name is Nisha Kashyap. I'm an artist, a writer, a photographer, and a first-generation Indian American.
My name is Jamal Wright. I'm from Nashville, Tennessee. I'm a Sanford University graduate, and I'm Black.
My name is Crystal Majors. I work for a group of ophthalmologists and currently seeking further education. I'm the first generation of Mexican American, and I'm proud.
My name is Yasmin Arafat, and I'm currently a senior at UAB studying civil engineering. I am a first-generation American, and I am half Syrian, half Palestinian.
You and I are very different.
When it comes to culture, almost nothing is the same.
Mentally, our opinions may never agree.
Politically, we will vote for different causes.
Socially, we associate with those who share common interests.
But in our country,
In our country. In our country.
In our country.
you and I deserve to be united.
So, Dr. Rowland, is there any piece before we get into kind of the what we call the last leg and the last segue that you really want people to know and be informed about?
I think the most important thing is that people need to just take it very seriously. Just because you can't see the virus is not there. This virus can live on surfaces for, an hour, a couple of days. It lives in your feces for 35 days. So you have to make sure that you understand the virus and understand your environment that you're working in. We call that, like I said earlier in the program, we call that situational awareness. Be careful. If you're going to Walmart, you're going to a place there's a lot of people, you better be wearing a mask. If you're touching outside objects, you better make sure you're washing your hands. If you are out in the public and you're around thousands of people, make sure you don't wear your shoes in the house. Make sure you have the best compounds to test and to test for COVID-19, like our PCR test. Make sure you understand that. Be smart. If you do that, you're going to have a good outcome. And realize that this pandemic's not going away in the next 2 months. It's going to be here for the next couple of years. You heard all the people talking about it's going to go away in the fall time. It's going to go away in the summertime. Well, we're getting 3,000 a day. It's picking up speed. I've had in the last 14 days, I've had 22 of my doctor friends that have died that I've worked with for 20 years. These guys are infectious guys. These guys are surgeons. They're dead. They left families, children, and moms in this world, and they died from COVID-19. So if doctors can die from COVID-19, if you're smart, you understand that you're vulnerable also to COVID-19.
Well, and Dr. Rowland, let's talk about that, the vulnerability, because, back a while back, probably about 2 months ago, a lot of people were saying that African Americans were more susceptible to this disease, and it was a disease that was man-made and that specifically targeted African Americans. You had all these conspiracy theorists out there saying, someone in a lab made this. Clear that up for us. And does social economics play a part in, some of the mortality rate? Because I think the mortality rate was 1 out of every 2 deaths were predominantly African American. Kind of share some of that information and kind of clear that up for the audience.
I don't like to get into statistics because statistics can change, but the bottom line is that if you die, it doesn't matter if it's a percentage or whatever. The virus did not come from a lab. The virus is what we call a hybrid virus. The virus is a combination of 2 species. It's part of a bat and it's also part of a pangolin. It's a hybrid. It's chimeric. It's lethal. Virus doesn't care what color you are. They don't care if you have a passport, no passport, you speak Spanish, you speak English, you speak Chinese. Viruses are equal opportunity employers. That's why I love them. They're free will. And so they'll affect anybody that they get exposed to. And that's just the reality. The problem that we have with minorities, especially when it comes to healthcare disparity, first of all, Black people just don't trust the healthcare system. And we can talk about the Tuskegee syphilis experiment. And people very weary of that, and that's just a fact. But so what happens is that with a lot of the minorities, we can talk about Mexican Americans, the people on the Native Indian reservation, the Navajos, and I've been there before. And Blacks is that people get into the system late. They don't have access to the proper healthcare on the front end. Maybe they're frontline workers and they have to be at their job. They can't go home. They have to be out there. So their exposure rate's higher. It's all about exposure. Right. When I go in the jungles and I get bit by a mosquito and I know there's malaria there, that doesn't mean I'm going to get malaria. I know there's dengue there. If I get bit one time by a mosquito that has dengue, doesn't mean I'm going to get dengue or malaria. That I have to be repeatedly exposed. So if you're around 20, 50 people breathing in the air and you're breathing that stuff in, you're going to get infected. So that's what people need to stop all this conspiracy theories, because it's confused people. When we put you in a body bags, there's no conspiracy theory. That's a fact.
And that's a
fact. That's the reality.
It is. So talking a little bit more about the virus and going into the second wave, what is the best preparation, I would say, from you, an expert. How should we prepare for that second wave? We're in the first wave right now, so, and we don't even realize we're in the first wave still. How do we even prepare for a second wave when we're still in the first wave?
Because you need to just prepare and take my word for it and just prepare for it. Get your water, get your antiseptic hand wash, situational awareness, teach your kids about the way to survive. Make sure that they understand the environment they're in. If you do that, you're going to be fine. This is a fact, folks. This is not going away anytime soon. COVID-19 is going to be in the population for a long time. The virus itself is not what we call pandemic. It's not even epidemic anymore. The virus is what we call is endemic. It's in the population.
Hi, this is Dennis Davis with Healthcare with Huncho, and you're watching Kuts and Koffee TV. Healthcare with Huncho. It's the only show with all facts and no cap. Is there just anything else that you just wanted to share with the audience at this time and just kind of open it up from you as an expert? Because I know that the audience probably has so many things that's going through their mind, probably a lot of new information. So in closing, because I know there's a lot of things. And by the way, we got to have you back on the show. You got to do the part 2. We got to have you back. Folks, if you're watching, if you're listening, Dr. Rowland, we're going to try to have him back because, like he said, this thing is not going away anytime soon. So just give us what I like to call parting gifts of knowledge.
Well, I the parting gifts of knowledge is that you had the opportunity to be with me for an hour.
Thank you for that.
And that's the bottom line. Listen to what I'm saying. You hear me? Are you listening to me? If you're hearing me, it's going out one ear to the other. If you listen to me, you're learning and understanding the information I'm giving you. And I'll be back in a couple of weeks to do part 2. If people have questions, send them in to you guys. And that's what I'm here to educate people because I'm a professor. I love to teach and pass the information down to people. And like I say, I'm here to save lives. And if I can save one person's life, I've done my job. And I look forward to seeing you guys in a couple of weeks.
All right. Again, thank you so much for all you do, Dr. Rowland, being out there on the front lines of everything. You actually are saving lives. And we look forward to talking to you in a couple of weeks when we have part 2.
Thank you very much, folks. You guys take care. I got another meeting to go to. Bye-bye, guys.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Rowland. Healthcare with Huncho. It's the only show with all facts and no cap.